Good afternoon. I come to you today and I want to talk about addiction. Just a brief moment here with you. First of all, I think it's important to realize that addiction isn't just an individual problem. It's a social problem. It's more than that. It's a soul problem. Addiction is the soul's attempt to hide pride that keeps us from our heart's true desire. Which is receiving the fullness of God. I'm convinced that all of us, like our author says, we're convinced that all of us want to know the fullness of God's love. We just might not recognize it. Addiction can be a curse and a gift at the same time. If we fail to submit ourselves to God's grace, addiction, which comes through our attachments, our heart's desire to be loved by God and missing it, that we focus it on an object and become obsessed with it. And these attachments is what put us into a bondage. So addiction, when we don't submit to the love of Christ, when we don't submit to the Holy Spirit, diminishes our ability to receive the grace of Christ. And it brings us into a state of bondage. Now, how can that state of bondage also be seen as a state of grace or a means of grace? Because when we're addictive personalities, or when we're addicted to something, we are driven lower. And at some point, hopefully, we start crying out and reaching out to our God, to the Savior, our Creator. And we start looking for His help and His grace and His love. It starts driving us towards Him, even though we think sometimes it's pulling away. But that's where the Holy Spirit comes in. Addiction is never relieved under the power of the flesh, but of the Spirit. The Spirit convicts us, guides us, loves us, and shows compassion towards us, driving us ever closer to Christ, the image of God. So recovery from addiction is a process. Recovery isn't being relieved or delivered from. It's a process that we go through. And I think most are delivered from addictions through a process. Now, when it all comes down to deliverance of it, that happens all at once. It's done. You totally submit to the Holy Spirit, or totally submit to Christ and start being formed in His image. So addiction is again, it's the soul's attempt to hide the pride that veils our heart's true desire, which is the love of God. Addiction is a soul problem that we all have and that we all must commit to. That we must learn to submit to Christ. And in submitting to Christ through the power of the Holy Spirit, we receive the grace, which is the love of God, which is what our heart's true desire is. God bless.